You pretty much become what you believe. You know, if I spend 90% of my day just producing music and I do that for a year straight, regardless of if I have a side job or not, if I'm spending most of my time making music, the universe comes in and puts a spotlight on me. This is all you do, this is kind of your calling. You gotta really trust the universe and trust yourself, and eventually you will become the thing that you think of the most, right? Like I was saying earlier, I'm supremely confident in my mind. I love all my music. Eventually it just turned into me just believing it and then it becoming true. Try it into.
Yep. Not affiliated with the gang though.
It's my song for you.
Oh shit, the key change.
From working with you a lot, I noticed that it's not always just like the skill set that you're talking about, but a lot of it has to do with mindset and certain mantras that you apply. Were you raised in a certain way that like inspired you to have that general outlook on life?
A big part of like where I picked up my mindset stuff was like more a little later in life. I was really fortunate to have like a great childhood. I think when we were like teenagers, they trusted us and let us kind of do our thing. And I think on top of that, we had really good friends, you know, in the neighborhood, and we would be outside like playing sports and connecting and playing video games. So like we had a lot of fun as kids, and I think those were the years where I sort of like picked up a lot of my passions. The only thing I focused on was the stuff that made me happy, right? And the only thing that made me happy was making music. And that was probably the best decision I made in my life, because not only was it like a stress reliever and it took my mind off of certain things, but it gave me the confidence to know that I could get better at making music, and then that would sort of organically dictate my next decision, my next move. So, you know, I sacrificed the first few years of my career just working on my craft. Producers ask me like, what should I do in the beginning? That's always the first thing that I'm gonna advise people is do the thing that brings the most joy. And if you wanna be a music producer, that should be producing music. So like, spend most of your time producing music. Don't worry so much about making money or trying to get placements or any of that. That stuff will come. But first things first, practice your craft and make music. When I started making music and I started to get into the music industry and realize that the music industry really is about people and meeting people, it sort of clicked, and I thought to myself, wow, like if I want to be successful in music, I need to know people. And when I think about the relationships I used to have with my friends and with my family and stuff, I always sort of took that with me and said, okay, well, like if I meet people, like these people could potentially be people that would be in my life for a long time. I want to nurture relationships in a way where it's not just about business, not just about how can you help me, but more about, yo, like let's get to know each other on like a deeper level. A lot of the relationships I've had started as just simple friendships, which then morphed into let's do business. You know, sometimes a year later, sometimes 10 years later, and they're really, you know, starting to pay off. So I think that mindset is like super important. Networking and relationships, you know, it's just like anything in life.
Seems like patience is like a big part of this game too. Like you can't plant the seed and then expect to eat the fruit the next day.
Exactly. You gotta nurture that thing. You gotta water it, you know? And you have to also allow for that seed to grow into something you don't know or something that you don't expect. It's almost like, you know, when you go to the grocery store, and like I do this all the time, I really don't, but when you buy seeds and it shows you like what kind of seed it is, like a tomato seed or whatever, it's almost like buying seeds and planting seeds, but you don't know what they turn into. But you trust that they will turn into something fruitful someday. If you could adjust your life to spend as much quality moments throughout the day for yourself, then those are going to add up to something really amazing. I never put a time limit on anything. If you put a time limit on yourself, then you're thinking in scarcity. And I think the mindset always has to be abundance mindset. So you want to approach it where it's like, I have all the time in the world. You know, I have all the resources in the world. It's just abundance. The OB6.
Yeah, it's yeah.
You would think that I meditate, but I really don't. I think meditation comes in different forms. I think people meditate in their own way. People associate meditation with like cross your legs and like close your eyes and do this for 10 minutes. And like, of course people meditate that way, but I think there's many different ways you can meditate. I think my version of meditation is before I go to bed, you know, before I go to bed, I think about myself in scenarios that I want to be in, right? I do it in the morning as well. To me, that's a form of meditation, and that's actually changed my life. When I started to envision a scenario before it happens, 9 times out of 10 it happened. It's crazy, I just noticed this about myself, but even the smallest thing from like going to the grocery store, or even coming here, shout out to my man T. This is his studio, amazing place. Before, when we were in the Uber, subconsciously I was imagining like what it would look like, what the experience was gonna be like. And I was just imagining, emotionally envisioning it. And I do that for everything. People say that meditation is like clearing your mind and stuff, which obviously it is. But for me, the exciting thing about meditation is like the fact that I can envision myself in these different places and I have control over that. But they never manifest in the exact way that you think, but they manifest based on the emotion that you felt.
Do you think if more widespread, not even just in music, but like humanity in general, if we started practicing visualization more, there would almost just be less anxiety and things too?
Yes, 1000%. I think practicing visualization every day will change your life. I don't think that schools or mainstream, you know, marketing, how-to stuff puts enough focus. I think people get turned off or immediately don't believe in it or don't think it's important. If you're thinking about bad things that can happen to you all day, then you're training your mind to attract those things in real life, and then ultimately those things will happen in real life. But if you switch that mindset to a positive mindset, then it'll go that way as well, and you can start to manifest positive things in your life. So I think that's probably the #1 factor to why I'm successful.